In goal, a back four of Lamptey, Webster, Byrne and Cucurella. The two holder midfielders are Mwepu and Modder. The three ahead of them are McAllister, Lallana and Trossard, with Maupay as the front man. As for Brentford, it is out. Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. It's the late kick-off on Boxing Day and it's the game at the Amex where Brighton and Hove Albion take on Brentford. Both sides starting the evening on 20 points, just 2 goals in the goal difference between them. So very evenly matched sides. Both teams also enjoying a little bit of a longer rest before the Christmas period due to games being called off because of the pandemic. So hopefully we should see quite an open game with both sides looking at their opposition thinking that we can get 3 points here. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Tom McGarry taking you through the action. Tom, we're hoping, we've seen some very goal gluts already today. We're hoping for more of the same tonight.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic festive treat so far, hasn't it? Particularly those 9 goals in the Manchester City-Leicester game. I don't quite think we'll get that many this evening, but what we should have is a really competitive game between, as you mentioned, two sides pretty much locked together in the Premier League standings, and it might be a game of fine margins, but that should make an intriguing battle, really, and I'm quite looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Brighton already pressing here early, and they're trying to get some action down the left-hand side as Trossard almost shoulders that ball towards Cucurella. The ball's played to the edge of the area. An attempted strike there from McAllister is charged down before it's eventually swept away by Ivan Toney, who missed a couple of Brentford games before all the cancellations, all the postponements, because he did have a positive test. Missed a couple of the games before the Christmas period, but now Dominic Thompson heads that ball on towards Toney, and then Mbeumo charging down on Dan Byrne. Brighton appealing that there might have been a push on Dan Byrne as he tried to make that clearance, but the referee, Darren England, says nothing, and it's going to be a throw to Brentford down the left-hand side. Yeah, credit to Dan Byrne for persevering and staying on his feet to make sure he got the clearance in, because he probably would have got a free kick had he gone down there, but he didn't want to take that risk. He's just hobbled away as well, hasn't he, from that challenger, just grabbing that left knee, so that's something to watch out for inside the opening couple of minutes. Absolutely, and now he's on a marking duty here. It's Pontus Jansson trying to get as close to Robert Sanchez, and it's Madbeck Sorensen with the long throw from the left-hand side, headed away at the edge of the 6-yard box. It's still inside the Brighton penalty area. Toney jumping to get a touch on it, and as Pontus Jansson turns and tries to fire it towards goal, but it's a scuffed effort. Just to remind you of the two 11s very quickly, is Robert Sanchez in goal for Brighton, a back four of Tariq Lamptey, Adam Webster, Dan Byrne and Cucurella. Enoch Mwepu and Jakub Modder are the two holder midfielders, with Alexis McAllister, Adam Lallana and Leandro Trossard playing as a 3 behind Neal Maupay. Brentford, Alvaro Fernandez in goal, a back 3 of Madbeck Sorensen and Pontus Jansson and Ethan Pinnock. Two wide men are Sergi Canos and Dominic Thompson. The 3 in midfield are Shandon Baptiste, Christian Norgard and Matthias Jensen, with Brian Mbeumo and Ivan Toney as the 2 up front. And as Tom mentioned, we saw a fascinating game earlier today as Man City took a 4-0 lead against Leicester before Leicester got it back to 4-3, and then City pulled away to win 6-3. Arsenal winning 5-0 away at Norwich. Spurs beating 10-man Crystal Palace 3-0, and Southampton getting a valuable 3 points away from home, winning away at West Ham by 3-2. But now it's Neal Maupay, the former Brentford man, chasing a long ball down the right-hand side. Goalkeeper Alvaro Fernandez comes out, and this is a bit of a tricky one for me, Tom, because Fernandez, I don't think, was signed by Brentford on loan from Huesca to be a starting goalkeeper. Huesca are a second division Spanish team who didn't need him on their bench this season, and now all of a sudden, because of the injury to Raya, he's got to play sort of pretty much 20 games in a row, and he's not really sort of fitted in so far, I don't think. Yeah, he's been thrust in as a lovely ball over the top. Superb ball here, and a chance here for Mbeumo as he chips that ball over Sanchez, and he was actually in an offside position, so nothing would have counted with that one in any case. Yeah, he did look a few yards offside, but just for a moment as he brought that one down, it was a real opportunity for him. Just one long ball over the top from the left-hand side from Dominic Thompson. It's a good ball as well, and looking at that replay, it's very close. His right foot probably is offside, but no more than that. He didn't finish it anyway. It was cleared away by Dan Byrne before it got to the line, but it would have been a tight offside call had he found the back of the net. Certainly would have been, and it's one of those where the VAR probably would have had to have checked that a couple of times before making their mind up, but in the end, as Tom mentioned, just didn't get quite enough power on the chip over the goalkeeper. But now a long ball up to the other end, and Maupay tries to bring this one down for Modder. It's swept away by Sorensen, but not too far away. Still a chance for Brighton to keep it alive. Here is Modder on the right-hand side. His cross is partially cleared by Mbeumo. Gets a lot of height, not too much distance. Toney then chests it down, and Jensen under pressure. Jensen needs to have a good game this evening. He's one of Brentford's main midfielder generals last season. Hasn't really stepped up so far. He's had plenty of time on the field.
hasn't really been at the level, whereas Dominic Thompson hasn't really had much of a chance in the first team. Combination of injuries and suspensions means that he does get a chance tonight. Good chance from his own. It was his great ball, of course, that put Mbeumo through just a moment ago. But here is Jensen now, finds Tony. There's a bit of space in front of him now. He's got the run ahead of him there as though chose not to go towards Baptiste. And then it's McAllister that wins the ball back for Brighton. Picked up now by Cucurella on the left-hand side. Back over towards Lallana. And now towards the edge of the area. It's been a difficult one as well, I think, for Graham Potter, because at times it looks as though he's really got a tune out of Brighton. But the games leading up to the Christmas period, Brighton's last win in the league was back in September.
Yeah, it's been a long time now for Brighton. 11 games in the Premier League without a win. Most of them they've drawn, a couple they've lost, but they need to start turning those draws into victories. That's what they were doing at the start of the season in the reverse fixture. We were just discussing it before we came on there, that late Leandro Trossard goal to seal a 1-0 victory at the Brentford Community Stadium. They haven't quite been doing that since, and that's why they have been dropping down the table and find themselves below Brentford and in the bottom half at the start of play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember doing commentary of that game, and it does seem like it was a long time ago, and that was the last, that was the second last win that Brighton had. They won a week later against Leicester, and they haven't had a win in the league since then, so it really does need a bit of a turnaround in form. As you mentioned, there are quite a few draws in there, so there aren't too many defeats. But they need to start getting points on the board as Lamptey tries to get a move started for Brighton down the right-hand side. Runs straight into Dominic Thompson. Lamptey now with the throw down the right-hand side. Continuing this trend of excellent right-backs coming out of Chelsea. Of course, Reece James is got the position now. Lamptey on loan from Chelsea. Of course, Valentino Livramento, who's at Southampton now, is another right-back who started his career at Chelsea. Now a ball over the top here for Trossard to chase down the right-hand side. He volleys that one into the 6-yard box. And there's a bit of look of frustration there from Neal Maupay, as if to say that ball from Trossard's probably a bit too hard for him to actually control.
Yeah, it probably was, but I think Trossard's just trying to flash it into an area. He's not looking to pick Neal Maupay out necessarily. It's a good run. He's onside when he gets in. I think he's just trying to hit that hard, looking for perhaps even Mwepu, who's coming in behind Maupay. But yeah, once Maupay tries to control it, it's very difficult there. The ball's coming at him at so much pace.
There's nothing he could do on that occasion. The Brighton number 9, 7 minutes into this game, independent off-tube studio commentary, goalless between Brighton and Brentford. But after that one decent chance for Brentford with Mbeumo almost breaking the offside trap, it is the home side that are starting to bed down a little bit quicker now. But Brentford trying to push out down the left-hand side. Thompson then stopped with a strong challenge there from Lamptey. And it's now back with Madsbæk Sorensen. You can see Maupay got 28 goals for Brentford in the 18-19 season. And Ollie Watkins with 26 the season after, and Ivan Toney with his record-breaking season last year, getting 33 goals, although that might be under threat with Mitrovic from Fulham this year. But here come Brentford now with Shandon Baptiste. It opened up in front of him. He dwelt a little bit on the ball, and the effort in the end was easily charged down. Canos can keep the ball in play down the right-hand side, runs into Cucurella, but Pinnock is there to keep the ball alive for Brentford. And now Jensen with a good ball over the top, and space here for Baptiste. Into the penalty area he goes, and that's a good challenge at the last there from Alexis McAllister. Had to have a double take there because he had a bit of a haircut now, McAllister, but that was the Argentine coming back, and he puts the ball out for a corner.
Yeah, really important toe, because if he gets that fraction wrong, then he's bringing Shandon Baptiste down, and it's a stonewall penalty, but he just gets his studs on the ball, and really good defensive work from the attack-minded midfielder coming back.
Absolutely, yes. He's got the number 10 on his back, McAllister. He's struggled to sort of get a regular starting 11 place for Graham Potter. Has come off the bench though and scored a couple of important goals. And Brentford now with this chance from the set piece, and it's left-footed and Mbeumo standing over it, so it's going to be an in-swinger from the right-hand side. Aimed at the near post, aimed at Sorensen. He misses the header, but Cucurella stood just behind him, does head it out for another corner. Yeah,
a little bit frustrating for Sorensen, because he probably should have been flicking that on at the front post, but it does strike Cucurella and go behind, so second opportunity for Brentford from the corner.
Yeah, good chance here now from the right-hand side. He is waiting inside the penalty area, and Mbeumo once again standing over it. But a little bit more height on it this time. Sorensen misses it. The loose ball almost dropped to Baptiste, headed away by Lamptey, but it's still kept alive here by Jensen. Fires that ball into the box. Tony tries to hit it first time. It may drop to Norgard. It may drop to Baptiste, and that one's fired into the ground before it goes over the bar. it may have got a deflection for another Brentford corner.
It's been a really good start from Brentford. They're really playing at 100 miles an hour and not allowing Brighton to settle into their rhythm. They're getting the ball into the box as early as they can. It wasn't particularly pretty, this, as the ball eventually dropped to Baptiste. And as you say, I think he hits it into the ground and it may come off Norgard on the way up, although it's actually been given as a Brentford corner.
Yeah, there were a couple of Brighton players. I'm thinking it might have just got a flick off Neal Maupay as well, who was at the edge of the 6-yard box, but it's another corner kick, another ball from Mbeumo, a little bit further away from the 6-yard box this time, and that actually makes it easier for the Brighton defence to deal with. Thompson and Jensen dropping deeper for Brentford to mop up, and it's Jensen's ball pumped back into the penalty area, headed away by Dan Burn. Maupay doing his best to keep that ball in play, and he manages it. Now it's Norgard who bumps straight into the back of Enoch Mwepu, and that will be a free kick to Brighton. Norgard trying to say he was only going for the ball.
Yeah, I think he was, but he does lean with his knee, almost like a goalkeeper jumping up to claim the ball in the air to protect himself, and his knee's almost into the back of the shoulder blades there of Enoch Mwepu, so it would certainly be a sore one. I'm not sure if the referee did give a free kick in the end. As we say, Norgard does win the ball in the air, but I suppose you could argue it was dangerous play.
Yeah, it's just one of those. It's always a difficult one with those where two players are trying to go for the ball. The referee has to make a split-second decision if one of them is perhaps being a little bit too aggressive. Quick concussion test here for Enoch Mwepu as well. Just checking his pupils and the like, just to make sure that he's okay. But Christian Norgard, very much the midfield main man for Brentford this season, has had more passes, more tackles and more possessions won than anybody else at the club. And certainly fills into that defensive midfield role superbly well. But this, I mean, it looked fairly innocuous, but this looks like it's really hit Mwepu quite bad. Yeah,
I think the initial contact was in the back of the shoulder blades, but then Norgard, as he's jumping into the air, almost goes back into the back of the head of Mwepu. So they're taking no chances with him. Of course, they'll have to do the concussion protocols just to make sure he is back on his feet, and I would be surprised if he wasn't able to continue.
I think he should be fine. Of course, both teams having to make do. Brentford's injury list includes Zanka Jorgensen, Christopher Ager, David Raya, of course, their first goalkeeper. But Bissouma currently suspended for Brighton, and Lewis Dunk is currently injured. Has a bit of pressing there on Robert Sanchez, pays dividends. He slices his clearance out for a Brentford throw.
Yeah, slightly strange that from Sanchez. I think he was expecting Adam Webster to show a bit more than he was, and he puts it straight out of play for a throw-in. Brentford could have lined up one of their long throws again, but they worked it short, and in the end the cross was just a little bit too high there for Mbeumo.
Yeah, the ball from Sorensen didn't really give Mbeumo too much to work with. Graham Potter now on his feet. His side at one point did look as though they were just starting to see a little bit more of the ball, but certainly the last 3 or 4 minutes they've struggled to get over the halfway line. And if anything, Brentford might be a bit frustrated. They've not used those set pieces a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton have had a couple of nice forays forward, but apart from that, nearly 13 minutes on the clock, it's been pretty much all Brentford. That pace and tempo that Thomas Frank has his side playing at, it's caught Brighton a little bit cold, and certainly the home side haven't really settled into the game as of yet.
No, they haven't really been able to, and Sanchez now with this long clearance up towards Neal Maupay, who heads that on, but that's straight onto the head of Ethan Pinnock, going back towards the halfway line, and it's Tony heads that ball away from his own teammate inadvertently, and then a bit of a disappointing pass from Adam Lallana, who's looking to switch to the left-hand side for Cucurella, but it went about 20 yards behind the Spanish left-back, so he's having to track back towards Robert Sanchez now. Long clearance from the goalkeeper, headed forward by Sorensen. Loose ball here from Norgard, just a little bit overhit the pass to Baptiste. And now Lamptey trying to get out of trouble. 3 Brentford players closing down. And in the end, Jensen does get a touch on it, but the ball straight back to Adam Webster. Over now towards the left-hand side here for Cucurella. Plays it forward, and McAllister just dwelt on the ball there a little bit, and Mbeumo keeps it alive for Brentford. Goes back to Norgard again. Disappointing from the Dane there. The pass picked off by Lallana, and now McAllister going through the middle, looks up and sees an opportunity down the right-hand side, but he obviously saw a player down there that we couldn't see, because there was nobody within 10 yards of that pass from McAllister.
Yeah, a bit disjointed at the moment. Not the races at Brighton. It's 11 days since they played a game, that defeat to Wolves back on the 15th of December. Brentford have had a game since then in the League Cup, and they're just looking a little bit more at it in these opening exchanges.
They do, absolutely. Brentford, of course, games against Manchester United and Southampton were postponed due to the pandemic. They didn't have that defeat against Chelsea, where they set up very defensively. Pontus Jansson scoring an own goal on 81 minutes to put Chelsea in front, and then a penalty, an injury time from Jorginho. He's getting good at those, isn't he? Jorginho is getting penalty after penalty for Chelsea this season, and that puts Chelsea through in that West London derby last week. Disappointing for Brentford. They were looking to have gotten into the Carabao Cup semi-finals for the second season running, having got there last year before losing to Spurs. 15 minutes gone here, though. Brighton in possession now, but unable to really find a way forward. And Dan Burn going back towards Sanchez, and you've got to say that Tony was close to picking that ball off as he played it towards Webster. Webster then finds Maupay. Nice little give and go with Lamptey. Maupay's ball forward, and then Trossard takes it down for McAllister, but the pass back to McAllister was quite strong, and he couldn't control it. Baptiste now takes it away for Brentford. He finds Mbeumo, who's stopped on the halfway line. Brighton have it back now, and it's with Adam Lallana to Neal Maupay. He thought about the shot, then he tries to thread a ball through to Mwepper, and it's not too far away from getting through to him. But Thompson, that's a poor clearance from Dominic Thompson, straight to Tariq Lamptey. And a chance here now for Brighton just to keep Brentford inside their own half. It's looking a little bit better now from the home side. Cucurella on the left-hand side, back into Lallana. But he doesn't see any option. He has to go square to Webster, so it's just slowed down for Brighton now. Yeah,
but a little bit of a better period, as you say, seeing more of the ball, and importantly from a Brighton point of view, inside Brentford territory. A couple of nearly moments, which is no surprise. We've kind of come to expect that from Brighton. They play a lot of nice football. It's just that end product, that final decision, that final shot or cross hasn't been quite there for a number of weeks, and we haven't seen much of it so far either.
No, it's still looking a little bit slow from Brighton's point of view. Sanchez now with a great ball over the top, though, for Cucurella. If he can get there before Canos, and he does. He puts a cross in, looking for the run of Trossard, but Pinnock is there, and he slides it out for a corner.
Yeah, I really like Cucurella. Really good outlet on the left-hand side, and it's a lovely ball from Sanchez to find him in space, and he's just looking to get that in as early as he can towards Trossard, but credit to Ethan Pinnock. He was well positioned and able to turn it behind for the corner.
Yeah, former Barnsley man in the right place at the right time, slides it out for a corner kick. It's going to be a right-footed in-swinger from the left-hand side, and it's Alexis McAllister standing over the ball. Plenty of players to aim at inside the penalty area. And you can see a line of three players waiting around about the penalty spot, just trying to confuse that Brentford defence. Here comes the ball in from McAllister. It finds Dan Burn. It loops off to crossbar, and then it's cleared. The referee whistles for, I'm not sure what that was for, unless there was a foul on the goalkeeper there. But certainly, once again, Fernandez always looks a little bit uneasy on crosses, and this one was no exception. Yeah,
Dan Burn using his height. He gets his head to the ball. It takes a big deflection on the way through. I think it's maybe off Pontus Jansson. And then it loops into the air, and you say Fernandez backpedaling. There is a bit of a challenge on him, but not much of one.
There's not much of one. I think Maupay would have got away with that if he'd have jumped for the ball. The fact that he was stood on the ground and then just sort of nudged the keeper meant that he wasn't trying to win the ball. He was just trying to get the keeper out of the way. If he'd have jumped with him and made it look as though he was trying to win a header there, then I think he had a chance of getting away with that, especially as referees are just trying to allow that little bit more contact. But Fernandez has shown time and time again since he's come into the first team that he's not very confident on crosses. But here come Brighton now. They win the ball back in midfield, and it breaks to Trossard in the penalty area. He looked as though he was going to get away from Janssen. He does put a challenge in there, Pontus Jansson, and it's out for a Brighton corner.
Much better these last 5 minutes, though, for Brighton, pressing high up the pitch, forcing the mistakes from Brentford. And it's a good ball into Trossard. He's a little bit hesitant, doesn't quite know what he wants to do, and that allows Janssen to come across and put in a decent challenge.
It was a decent challenge from Pontus Jansson, and he needs to be on his mettle here now as this in-swinger comes in from McAllister into the 6-yard box again. Pinnock this time with a strong header out towards the edge of the area. Trossard nods it back to McAllister, who's still on that left-hand side. Tries another ball into the box, and once again Pinnock is in the right place to head it away. It's back on the left-hand side. Cucurella now to McAllister. Tries a left-footed cross this time. Once again it's Pinnock with the header, and the referee's going to stop play here for a head injury.
Yeah, painful one. Maupay heading into the back of Ethan Pinnock, both players down on the floor, but good play from Brighton. Some really good balls into the box from both feet from Alexis McAllister. That last one there, I think Pinnock was always going to win it. Maupay was a little bit late, but certainly they both felt the full effect of that. Pinnock in particular, he'll have got that in the back of the head, so he might have a few minutes to try and sort this one out.
Yeah, they may need a little bit of time just to make sure that both players are okay. In terms of the Brighton bench, it's Alzate, Turns, Ferguson, Richards, Sherpen, Leonard, March, Welbeck and Gross. A few names on there that we've not seen too many times in a Brighton shirt before. Just trying to get a couple of the youth players involved, of course, with some of the injuries and the positive COVID test. Yeah, it is a bit of a nasty clash there. And it does look as though Pinnock got the worst of that, I think.
Yeah, he's not expecting it. It's into the back of the head. Maupay could brace himself slightly. No malice whatsoever, of course. Maupay back on his feet, just putting a hand of an apology to Pinnock, but the Brentford centre-backs, the one we're a little bit more concerned with, and they're taking their time, rightly so, to fully assess that he's okay.
Absolutely, yes. The Brentford bench in full, it's Finn Stevens, Mads Bidstrup, Sam Godos, Marcus Forss, as well as Miles Pert-Harris, Johan Visser, Frank Onyeka, and 18-year-old goalkeeper Matt Cox. And ironically, actually, if that game against Manchester United had gone ahead as planned on the 14th of December, then it's very likely 18-year-old Cox would have started, because Alvaro Fernandez had a positive test, I think, the day before. So potentially United might have been a bit more keen to play the game, although, of course, with a number of positive tests that they had, it seemed as though they weren't very keen to make the journey right from Sunday evening, really. As we can see, Tony Bloom in the stands, the Brighton chairman, does actually have a business pass with the Brentford owner, Matt Benham, who I'm not sure if he's in the stands this evening. I haven't seen him so far as yet, but this is taking a little while now to check over what's happening with Ethan Pinnock. If he did have to go off, just looking at that Brentford bench, Mads Bidstrup, I suppose, is the most defensively minded player on that bench, although he's more of a right back really than he is a centre back. But for the time being, Pinnock is back on the field.
Yeah, and that's a good sign. He should be okay. I'm not sure if Brentford would potentially have to change their formation or move one or two players around. Certainly, if they did lose Pinnock, who provides good balance in that back three as well. But he seems okay. I don't think they would be sending him on if he wasn't all right to continue.
No, it's a very strict protocol now in terms of what physios are supposed to do in terms of the concussion testing. I think that's all off the back of that incident with Lukaku and Lloris going back a good few years, where Lloris actually admitted after the game that he didn't know what stadium he was at. He couldn't actually remember what team he was playing for. That's how concussed he was after that collision with Lukaku's knee. But Pinnock, for the time being, back on the field. 21 minutes gone. It is still goalless. Probably lost a good 3 minutes of play there with that injury. Cucurella now gets the ball back from a throw-on, but then he just hoists that one down the left-hand side. Didn't really look up to see where any of his teammates were. It's a gift of possession back to Brentford. Brighton's next game is on Wednesday evening. They play away to Chelsea. And Brentford also playing on Wednesday evening, kicking off 45 minutes later. They're at home to Manchester City. Here come the Bees now, down the right-hand side. A ball from Canos aimed at Tony, is headed away by Adam Webster, and that's good play there from Mwepu to keep the ball alive for Brighton. The midfield goes out towards Lamptey. Back to Mwepu. Turns away from Norgard, plays a 1-2 with Moded, and Mwepu's got options here down the left-hand side. One of them is Cucurella. He tries to play an early ball through to Trossard, gets a slight deflection before being played back to Fernandez. He had to be quick there because Maupay was closing him down, but the Brentford keeper clears it, and then Canos robs the ball of Cucurella. He's going to win the foot race there against Dan Burn. He gets to the edge of the area. Burn puts a good challenge in, though, before he's able to play the ball away. Canos stays down as if he's been hit in the face. I must admit, it didn't look to me like he had been struck at all there, the Brentford winger. I think he was just a bit frustrated that a player who's supposed to be on paper a lot slower than him was able to get back and win the challenge.
Fantastic defensive challenge from Dan Burn, wasn't it, after Cucurella had been robbed of possession, and Canos did grab Burn to try and pull him back. So whether there's a stray arm to push the Brentford winger off, I'm not sure. I mean, I think I'm with you. I think he's trying to make the most of it.
I think so. We'll see from this replay here. I mean, he does well to nod the ball away from Cucurella and start the run. At this point, it looks as though he's got all the legs to beat Dan Burn. Burn then puts a superb challenge in. I mean, the elbow's near the face, but I would argue that... Well, no, I take that back, actually. There is a little bit of contact, but there's no way you could say that there was any intention there from Dan Burn. And Canos now, no surprise really, he's back up on his feet. We've gone past the halfway mark in this first half, coming up to 24 minutes gone. It is Brighton 0, Brentford 0, and it will be Tom to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I don't think there was any need for a VAR to have a look at that coming together between Canos and Dan Burn, as Brighton in possession of the ball, deep inside their own half. Yannick Moder to sweep it over towards the right-hand side where Maupay's jostling with Sorensen. It deflects off the Brentford central defender and goes out to play for a throw-in to the home side, who've grown into the game over the last 10 minutes or so. It was Brentford more on the front foot during the opening 10-15 minutes of this first half taking place at the Amex. Tariq Lamptey will take this throw in for Brighton down the right-hand side. Finds Yannick Moder, who tries to flick it beyond Dominic Thompson, gets the benefit of the ricochet a couple of times there, the Brighton midfielder, and despite their best efforts of Thompson, it deflects behind for quite a cheap Brighton corner.
Yeah, absolutely, and so this is what Brentford have to avoid, because they're not the best side at defending set pieces. So anytime they can get rid of the ball without giving away a corner or a free kick, they need to do it. It's pretty much a gift of a set piece here, and there's no shortage of tall players here from Brighton to try and capitalise.
Yeah, last Brighton corner, Dan Burn hit the crossbar. It's Alexis McAllister again standing over the set piece. This time it'll be an outswinger from the right-hand side. It's another dangerous ball in, flicked clear by Ivan Toney. Comes to Cucurella, who will look to keep the attack going for Brighton. Trossard, though, that's a poor delivery back into the box, straight into the hands of Alvaro Fernandez, who looked to be in a hurry to try and get Brentford going quickly, which has been a theme from Brentford in the first half, but didn't look like there was any options up there in yellow.
No, well, you sometimes want your goalkeeper to bowl it out or to punt it out quickly, but if it's just so that the opposition get the ball back quickly, then it is pointless. And I think on that occasion, Fernandez looked up and saw that there was no easy option and decided to hold on to the ball. But this is where Brentford have to be careful. They have shown themselves to be defensively light at times, and this is where Brighton can try and capitalise on that.
It's Sorensen in possession down the left-hand side. Clip ball forward, looking towards Brian Mbeumo, who will give chase, but Dan Burn always the favourite, but under pressure from the Brentford forward, he's had to concede the throw, which could see Madsbæk Sorensen stroll forward for another long throw special, and that looks like it's going to be exactly that from the Danish defender. Decent weapon this for Brentford, and of course one or two problems already. Pinnock's made his way forward from the back, Janssen up there as well. Toney always a threat in the air. Can Sorensen get the required distance as he launches it in towards the corner of the 6-yard box? Sanchez comes out though, and the goalkeeper does well.
He does well, absolutely. That's the easiest way to try and defuse the situation, is to come out and catch the ball, and he rolls it out quickly. A chance now for Brighton.
Yeah, on the counter-attack, Mwepu feeds it out towards Trossard on the left-hand side. Cucurella overlapping. Trossard ignores him. It's a deep cross, too deep towards the far post, but will be kept alive by Yannick Moder. In there with Neal Maupay, who feeds it into Mwepu, into the penalty area. Enoch Mwepu, half an opportunity that, but he's rather lashed that into the side netting. He had a couple of really big opportunities into the defeat to Wolves a couple of weeks ago. One, a contender for miss of the season, and there, just lacking the composure in the penalty area.
Yeah, well, I like the fact that he's getting forward, though. I always had Mwepu down as more of a defensive midfielder, but he's pretty much playing as an attacking midfielder tonight, and he's had a couple of good chances. Again, just needs his composure there. It's almost like he's closed his eyes, put his laces through it, and just hope for the best. But as we can see, he has got 2 goals in his last 5 home games. For someone who does mainly play as a defensive midfielder, he'll be quite happy with that return. That long throw we saw from Brentford a moment ago, it's a good thing that Sorensen is in the team, because normally they ask Pinnock to take the long throws because he's very good at them as well. But of course, he's one of Brentford's tallest players, so ideally you'd want him in the box actually trying to head the ball.
Yeah, he's a good aerial threat, and Mwepu as well had that brilliant long-range goal, didn't he, against Liverpool at Anfield a few weeks ago. So he's certainly capable of hitting them, as Trossard looking to get in behind for Brighton down the left-hand side. He's held up by Pinnock, but neat footwork from Trossard. Creates half a yard, gets the ball into the box, headed clear by Janssen at the front post. Brighton again will try and keep the attack alive, but Norgard comes away with the ball. Referee tries to play an advantage, which Christian Norgard couldn't take advantage of.
No, I mean, that advantage lasted all of a split second there, really. But as I say, it's one of those things where I still think we need a bit of clarity from the authorities as to exactly how long an advantage in football needs to last, because it does seem to be down to the discretion of the referee. Sometimes I can think of a couple of referees that might have still brought it back when Brentford lost the ball so quickly. I personally think that they had their advantage and they wasted it, but some referees might have thought otherwise there.
Yeah, I suppose it depends if the player playing that first ball when the advantage is played is being disrupted by the foul or not, which I suppose Norgard wasn't there, as Lamptey's given the ball away to Toney. Chance for Brentford. It's Baptiste into the area, can't quite squeeze it out to Canos, who is in all kinds of space, but Brighton struggling to clear their lines. Eventually McAllister plays his way out, finds Cucurella, who's held up by Norgard, but Brighton will break down the left.
They will, and I mean, Baptiste was very honest there. I thought there might have been an argument that he could have been clipped as he was trying to break into the box, but he was in full speed, wanted to carry on his run, and Cucurella carries on his run here down the left-hand side.
Yeah, gets the ball into the box, but Fernandez should come and claim that, and unopposed, the Brentford standing goalkeeper is able to do just that. But as you say, Baptiste, he never really got his feet sorted out. He couldn't quite get it under control to either, as you say, perhaps take a challenge, get a shot away, or try and find Caños on the right-hand side?
No, there was a few options there, really, but Baptiste, once he broke into the box, it seemed like he was keen on finishing the move himself. Just lost his balance at the crucial time there as Tony heads that one on towards Mbeumo, but Lamptey gets there first and gets that ball back to his keeper. There might have even been a foul from Mbeumo, though.
Yeah, I think maybe a high foot. It was brave from Lamptey going in, but I think it was more a case of him lowering his head than a high foot, but free kick given nonetheless. Mwepu has it for Brighton, works out to Tariq Lamptey on the right-hand side. We've nearly had 30 minutes played then in this game, bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary. Brighton 0, Brentford 0, the final match of the day on this Boxing Day, December the 26th. There's a switch from Jensen for Brentford, out towards Tony, who tries to cushion it down. It's an intelligent attempt from Ivan Toney, just too far ahead of Baptiste, and now Cucurella once again breaking forward with pace for Brighton. He releases Trossard down the left-hand side. He's up against Ethan Pinnock, who's backpedaling into the penalty area. Trossard pulls it in towards Maupay, but Sorensen tracks the run all the way, and Brentford are able to scramble it clear.
They do clear it in the end, but the speed of Trossard down the left-hand side was causing Brentford some problems. They just had an extra man in the box there, Brighton. You feel as though they could have put some real pressure there on the visitors.
Cucurella looking to keep the pressure on from a Brighton point of view. Lallana lifts the ball into the box. It's too high, though, for either McAllister or Maupay. There's not much height, is there? We speak about it quite a lot in that Brighton attacking line. So from open play, those crosses into the box, and they've had plenty of them, haven't they, in the last 10-15 minutes, but it's going to be difficult for those attackers in blue and white to beat the Brentford defenders in the air.
It is. That's why. But then to counter that, they've certainly got the feet to beat the Brentford defenders. It's just a case of Brighton choosing the right sort of cross. And we mentioned it earlier, there was that ball that Trossard fired in, which Maupay couldn't control. But that kind of ball, I think, has a better chance of surprising the Brentford defenders.
Lallana in possession for Brighton. A little bit more a deeper role than we were initially expecting, playing in now alongside Enoch Mwepu in the middle of the park. Mwepu has it now and rolls it in towards Dan Burn. Now Cucurella again advanced, always an outlet on the left hand side, feeds the ball around the corner to Yannick Moder, who seems to be playing the role I was perhaps expecting Lallana to be in, the pole trying to hold the ball up against both Pinnock and Caños. Caños is eventually there to swipe the ball clear. It's headed back forward by Webster for Brighton, and it'll break Trossard's way. He finds Maupay inside the area. Maupay tries to roll it around the corner. It breaks back to the Frenchman, who's forced out of the area. Moder is there. Cucurella as well, supporting Brentford with plenty of bodies back. But that's nice from Cucurella through the legs of Pinnock. Maupay into Trossard. Very intricate this from Brighton. They still have the ball in the area. Eventually Trossard is crowded out, and Brentford should be able to clear their lines. But that is Brighton in a nutshell, really. Some nice football, but almost too much.
Almost, I see what you mean. It's almost as if they're overcomplicating the playmaking, which is looking really good, but then there's no end product at the end of it. But just by sheer weight of possession right now, you just feel as though something could be brewing here for Brighton, because Brentford are now struggling to get the ball away from their own half. Yeah,
the home side are the team on the front foot now as they look to build up another head of steam with Trossard and Cucurella down that left-hand side. It's fed in field now to McAllister. Ball forward to Maupay. It'll break Lallana's way. He can't quite link up Mwepu, though. It's well intercepted by Jensen, and now a potential Brentford counter-attack is thwarted as Mbeumo runs into Dan Burn, who's had a decent game, actually, in these opening 33 minutes, the Brighton central defender. McAllister will now bring it forward for the home team again. Finds Mwepu, who's got Lamptey outside him on the right-hand flank. Here is Tariq Lamptey up against Dominic Thompson. In one way and then the other. He's held up well low by a combination of Thompson and Jensen. Lamptey eventually attempts to get a cross in. It's blocked by Thompson, and again Brentford can scramble it clear, and Tony manages to ease the growing pressure on his side by drawing a free kick.
Yeah, that at least gives Brentford a little bit of breathing space. They can take the free kick, try and get a little bit more of a set-up in midfield, because the last few minutes it really has been one-way traffic. Not too much work for Alvaro Fernandez, but certainly plenty of work for his defenders.
Yeah, there's not been too many shots on goal, and I think I'm right in saying, I think I saw a stat earlier this week that the reverse fixture between these two sides had the fewest shots in it of any Premier League game this season, so it's no surprise really we haven't had too many.
Well, as I say, I did commentary that game, and I could only just about remember the goal in the last minute. It wasn't a very memorable game. Brentford probably wasted the chance to try and press on Brighton, but his ball over the top from Mwepu, and Trossard gets there first. Oh, what a fantastic goal. Leandro Trossard there, ball over the top. and he's able to get it over Fernandez, who was out of position.
Well, it's not quite been coming, but Brighton have been the better side over the last 10-15 minutes. There may be a question of offside, but it's a lovely ball over the top from Maupay. Trossard in behind, and what a touch it is to lift it over the advancing Alvaro Fernandez. Maupay with the ball on the halfway line. Trossard,
no, he's
onside.
He's
Jansen's
onside.
Playing him on, and then once he's in behind, he has a look. He sees Fernandez coming off his line and just uses the pace of the ball to lift it over the goalkeeper. What a finish that is from Leandro Trossard, and Brighton with their noses in front.
Brighton with their noses in front. I mean, the goalkeeper is in absolute no man's land, but take nothing away from the finish there from Leandro Trossard. It's Maupay spots the run, plays the ball over the top, and what I like the most about that finish from Trossard is the ball doesn't bounce. It's the ball over the top from Maupay and the first touch, and Trossard now with a goal against Brentford in both games this season.
Yeah, scored the late winner back in September in West London, and he's drawn first blood for Brighton in this game as well. Member of Brighton's side who have been on this long winless run in the Premier League, but with 10 minutes to go in this first half, they lead Brentford by 1-0.
Yeah, well, Brentford have a habit of ending bad runs for teams. Let's not forget, of course, that Norwich's first win of the season was against Brentford. That didn't help Daniel Farke. He still lost his job later that same evening, but that was the first win that Norwich had this season. Really important goal, though, from Trossard, because now with that goal, it just means that Brentford have to somehow alter their game plan, which may make things even more open for Brighton.
Yeah, and that might play into the home team's hands as Mark Cucurella brings the ball forward down the left for Brighton. Clip ball over the top again, looking for the man of the moment, Trossard, who's in behind Ethan Pinnock, but he's actually done well. Trossard, the best he could hope for, really, as he was running out of room on that far side, was to win a corner, and Pinnock has knocked it out, so another opportunity for Brighton, who have threatened from set pieces in this game. Dan Burns' deflected effort hitting the crossbar, and Alexis McAllister has provided some decent deliveries so far, the Argentine, who's trotted across to take this latest corner from the left-hand flank. Maupay, moderate aerial threats alongside Webster and Byrne, who will make their way forward from the back. So this spells danger from a Brentford point of view as McAllister whips it in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed clear by Jansen, brought down by Lallana on the edge of the area. Brighton can keep the attack alive. Lallana feeds it back out to McAllister. Another decent ball towards the far post. Maupay, though, at full stretch, can't quite make anything of it, and it goes out for a throw.
Possibly that last ball from McAllister, maybe it was the wrong option when you see they had all the big men waiting inside the centre of the penalty area, just at the edge of the 6-yard box, trying to pick out a single Maupay there on the far side. Probably wasn't the best option. But we can now see Thomas Frank and his coaching staff in quite animated discussion there.
Yeah, looking a little bit exacerbated. Thomas Frank's side did start this game well, but they've been second best for the last 20-25 minutes or so, as again Brentford work the way ball up towards the halfway line, but then lose it cheaply. It's Cucurella down the left-hand side again for Brighton. Infield he goes to Adam Lallana, who's starting to see more of the ball. Byrne now on the halfway line, back towards Lallana. Now Trossard dropping deep to get involved in the build-up play. We haven't seen much of him really before he scored that brilliant opening goal, which is currently the difference between the two sides, as Maupay rolls away from Sorensen. He claims he was fouled, and the referee belatedly agrees, and this will be a free kick to Brighton in a dangerous area, and for Mads Bech Sorensen, it's the game's first yellow card.
Well, Sorensen's got a very surprised look on his face, like he can't believe that he's just got that booking. But he's holding on to Maupay the entire time, and then when Maupay tries to turn him, he still has a bit of a hold on him. I could see why Sorensen's frustrated, but he is fouling more than Maupay is in that situation.
Yeah, they were both holding on, weren't they? But I think because Maupay turns and Sorensen for a split second longer was probably still tugging the shirt, that's why the referee has given the free kick, and because it was in such a dangerous area, the yellow card was always going to follow. It's right of centre, perhaps a little bit too wide for certainly a right-footer to be considering taking a direct effort, and it's McAllister, Moder and Lamptey all standing over the ball, so this could be lifted into Alvaro Fernandez's penalty area, and it's certainly a decent opportunity for Brighton to keep the pressure on. McAllister, if someone is going to directly hit this towards goal, does look the likely candidate. It's a 3-man Brentford wall. As McAllister does step up, he does strike towards goal, but always rising over the top of the crossbar.
Well, always rising, and it's always going down the middle as well, so I'm not really sure what Fernandez would have to be doing not to be able to get to that if it was on target. Trying to develop a bit of movement on the ball, a little bit of a rotation, but really, for that kind of free kick to work, it's got to be heading somewhere near the corner.
Yeah, it's an ambitious effort because the angle was so tight there for McAllister. He struck it sweetly enough, but as you say, just a little bit too high and certainly too close to Fernandez, as Caños almost plays his way into trouble there for Brentford. The ricochet was kind for him, it fell to Jensen, and now Thompson breaking forward, but he loses it cheaply, and now Brighton can break into the space. Mwepu down the right hand side, it's a poor delivery. Sorensen just about cuts it out, but it'll break to McAllister on the edge of the area, but he volleys well over the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, that shot certainly wasn't threatening the goal, but he struck it sweetly enough, McAllister, really put his laces through it. Brentford have got to try and get organised here. That was a giveaway of possession there as they were trying to play out from the back, and Brighton certainly could have punished them more than what they did in the end. Yeah,
Brentford looking at sixes and sevens a little bit defensively, and in fact, we are going to see a substitute with just 40 minutes on the clock. Johan Visser, an attacking player, is going to come on. I think it's Brian Mbuemo coming off, so I presume that must be
the fact that we saw he's got a slight grimace on the face there as he goes off for Brian Mbuemo. He's not the kind of player, I don't think, to throw a big hissy fit going off the field anyway, but the fact that Ivan Toney sort of grabbed him by the arm and almost tried to calm him down suggests to me that, I mean, it is a strange substitution because they've basically swapped one striker for another, and in the last 15 minutes the one position where Brentford haven't needed any assistance is with the striking. It's the defence of the midfield that's looking completely threadbare right now.
Yeah, that's why I thought he was going to perhaps change up his formation and take off a more defensive-minded player. Maybe he's not happy with how Mbuemo and Toney have been holding the ball up, because it has been coming back pretty quickly, as it does now with, again, Brighton breaking forward. Moda, though, can't slip it through to Trossard, and Caños can clear, but we might get a little bit more meat on the bones in terms of that substitution in due course, as Visser gets his first touch and flicks it against the heels of Cucurella. Visser, who's had an injury-plagued start to his Brentford career, but he has popped up with some important goals.
He has. He came off the bench to score the equaliser against Liverpool. He came off the bench to score the winner in the last minute at the London Stadium against West Ham. Scored a couple of goals in a rout of Oldham in the League Cup as well. But then, as you said, then he got injured and really has been missing since that time. Has just got back into the team in the last couple of weeks. But here come Brighton again.
Yeah, Yannick Moda lays it off to Maupay. He might have a chance to strike. He does, and he rifles it into the back of the net. That's emphatic from Neal Maupay, who doesn't celebrate against his former club, but it's a clinical finish, and 3.5 minutes to go until a half-time break. Brighton have doubled their lead. They lead Brentford 2-0.
They do, and Maupay, well, he's making quite a point not to celebrate, although his teammates are certainly delighted because it is a fabulous strike from Neal Maupay. Once again, Brentford just leaving themselves far too open. Maupay actually has a touch of the ball here on the halfway line. Then there's Adam Lallana playing the ball forward. They're showing us this like there might be an offside against Jakub Moder there, but I don't think there will be. And then when the ball drops to Maupay, it's a fantastic strike. You've got to say that. He really absolutely measures that one into the top corner, and Fernandez doesn't move.
Yeah, it's a brilliant strike. I thought initially it might have taken a deflection, but it's a pure hit from Neal Maupay and right into the postage stamp. No chance for Fernandez. And yeah, Brighton taking full advantage of what has been a bit of a disjointed 20 minutes or so for Brentford, and a goal against his former club. As you say, Paul made a point of not over celebrating certainly there as his teammates surrounded him, but a great lead for Brighton to have to take into the half-time break, and a lot of work for looking a little bit of a frustrated Brentford side.
Well, Maupay became a Brentford legend when he scored that penalty against Leeds United at Ellen Road that literally stood in front of Leeds United fans to basically try and provoke them, and he's carried that on since he's moved to Brighton. He's had a bit of a running battle with Leeds fans over the last 3 seasons, but as I say, didn't want to celebrate the goal, but inside he'll be absolutely delighted. He earned his move to Brighton when he got it, and he's justified it. He's had peaks and troughs, but considering that he is a player who came into English football from the French second division, had 2 seasons at Brentford, and now is pretty much an established number 9 for Brighton, you've got to say that he's progressed his career very impressively.
Yeah, and his numbers are pretty good, to be fair. He's been largely playing in a Brighton side towards the bottom end of the Premier League, but 8 goals last season, 10 goals the season before. I don't think it's his lack of goals which has been Brighton's problem, really. It's probably the other players that are chipping in, another striker perhaps to help out and share the load, but he's been a pretty consistent scorer throughout his time in the Premier League, as Cucurella bringing the ball forward for for Brighton. I feel like I've said that a lot in this game. Trossard infield to McAllister, who returns it to the scorer of Brighton's opening goal. We're about to enter the final minute of the opening 45. McAllister driving forward, give and go between him and Wepu. He goes down very belatedly, but the referee, eagle-eyed, was up with the play, and he gives a free kick.
Well, the Brighton players are actually surrounding the referee more than the Brentford players are. It's almost as if they're saying that there was some sort of deliberate foul in there. Were they perhaps looking for a card? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. It's Christian Norgard who seems to be the guilty party. He still can't believe that this decision's gone against him, and it's going to be booking for the Danish international as well.
Yeah, I think once the foul's given, that had to be issued, but it's a slight tug back, but he goes down so late.
I would argue that that's bordering on a dive from McAllister, because although he has been held, that isn't the reason he's fallen over. He's felt the pull on the shirt, and then he's thinking, well, the ball's getting away from me, so I'm going to hit the deck. He's going to miss the game against Manchester City now, Christian Norgard, which will be a big miss. But I'm not sold on that free kick, I have to say.
I don't think it is. The only thing I can say in McAllister's defence, although I don't really want to defend the fact that he waited until he got in the penalty area to go down, but from his point of view, he'll probably feel that he's not getting the free kick if he doesn't throw himself to the floor. So it's certainly a debatable one. It'll be even more contentious as we enter 4 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the first half. If this ball ends up in the back of the net, it's Trossard who's placing it. The free kick McAllister had a few minutes ago was a lot more on the angle on the right-hand side. This is just slightly left of centre, and you can argue perfect for a right footer. McAllister is standing over the ball as well, but put your money on Leandro Trossard to hit this one. He's the man who's placed it and has purposefully stepped back, and he does step up, right-footed, drills it, but it's straight down the throat of Fernandez.
Yeah, goalkeeper saw that all the way and was able to make a standing save. Doesn't wait too long either, boots this one down the middle for Tony to chase, but that's very good covering there from Lallana.
Yeah, Lallana putting in a composed performance in the middle of the park as Wepu gives chase down the right-hand side and will keep the ball in play. He's done fantastically well, gets it under control, pulls it back to Tariq Lamptey. Enoch Wepu, again, the former Salzburg player, into Yannick Modder, who goes down under the challenge of Sorensen. Again, it looked like he went down easily. This time the referee does not give a free kick, and Brentford play on. Visser over the halfway line he goes, right, a couple of challenges, squeezes it out to Tony on the right hand side. His first time ball through is a good one to find Baptiste. He needs to wait for support. Tony making his way into the middle, Visser in there as well. Kanyos it is who tries to deliver. His cross takes a big deflection, and McAllister, for the first time, doing some good defensive work, can lash the ball clear for Brighton. We've got 2.5 minutes of stoppage time still to play at the end of this first half. Brighton 2, Brentford 0. And Brentford, who haven't really ventured forward over the last 25 minutes, do get themselves a cheap free kick. This time McAllister back doing his defensive work, miscontrols.
He does miscontrol. This gives Brentford a little bit of a chance towards the end of the half. Certainly would make Thomas Frank's half-time team talk that a little bit easier if Brentford could reduce the arrears by half with this free kick.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a pleasant place to be at the moment, the Brentford half-time dressing room, particularly if that change was a tactical one from Frank before, with Mbuemo coming off and Visser replacing him. That was when it was 1-0. It's 2-0 now. Corner will be taken from the right-hand side by Jensen, lifted into the box towards Pontus Jansson. It's flicked clear, comes to Kanyos under pressure on the half volley, sends it well wide of the target.
Yeah, he's off balance and he's pretty much scooped that ball up in the air, and it's away for a goal kick. Thomas Frank once again looking a little bit troubled. His side haven't really sort of had the consistency that he would have liked. 2 wins in their last 5 games against Everton, against Watford, both coming at home. They've just struggled to pick up points on the road just recently, although they did have a lead against Leeds United before a late equaliser there from Patrick Bamford. And Johan Visser on our screens now. He's barely had a touch of the ball since he's come on.
Yeah, it's been difficult for Brentford's attacking players to really have any kind of involvement in the game. Brighton have marshalled things well, as Robert Sanchez sends a goal kick forward for the home team. He's had a quiet opening half, really, the Spanish goalkeeper. The ball bounces around around the halfway line, eventually picked up by Norgard. A heavy touch though from him. It could have fell anywhere, but it breaks to a teammate, and Baptiste just helps it back to Alvaro Fernandez, who puts his right foot through the ball, looking towards Visser. Bit of a mismatch there between him and Dan Burn in the air. The Brighton man comes away with the ball. Corella helps it forward. Side really keeping hold of possession at the moment. Visser, though, does pick it up, finds Tony. The space on the left-hand side for Dominic Thompson, who will look to deliver an early ball. It Ricochets off Lamptey, but comes back to Thompson. Jensen now. Oh, he's given it away cheaply, and there might be one last break for Brighton at the end of this half. It's a bit of a 3-on-3 at the moment. Mwepu has Maupay to his right, Trossard to his left. Tries to feed it through to Trossard. Jensen in the way, intercepts, and that will bring an entertaining first half to an end with Brighton, thanks to goals from Leandro Trossard and Neal Maupay against his former club, leading Brentford by 2-0.